Welcome to Business Outlook, a podcast by the Albuquerque Journal where we focus on 4 revolving themes: real estate, small business, emerging leaders, and technology.
CNM is truly one college with infinite possibilities in tech and data sciences. CNM offers programs where everyone can learn about software, apps, or how to build websites. You can also choose from AI programs and machine learning, the Internet of Things, and so much more. CNM, one college, infinite possibilities, and a proud sponsor of the Albuquerque Journal's Business Outlook.
Hello, and welcome to the Business Outlook. Today we're taking a look at small businesses brought to you by CNM. So, Melody, if you would introduce yourself, I'd really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm Melanie St. George, and I own Blissful Spirits Yoga, hot yoga.
So you, when did you start, your business?
So actually, next week is my 15-year anniversary of opening up Blissful Spirits hot yoga on Paseo del Norte. So that was my first studio. So the 15-year anniversary is coming up.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's an exciting moment.
And then you guys recently had an expansion, right?
Right. So we have done 2 over the last year. One is a smaller expansion that I partner with Denise Gonzalez on. It's called Bliss in the City. And so we take our yoga out to make it more social, right? So we have classes at Explora and in Albuquerque, the museum, and all kinds of different venues, Electric Playhouse and Marble. Yeah, many venues. And so that's a little more social because a lot of people just kind of sneak into yoga at the studio and sneak out. But sometimes you never get to really meet anybody, which is true and untrue because we have a really huge community that, we're all best friends as well. But when you're new to yoga, sometimes you don't feel like it's easy to meet somebody. So Bliss in the City kind of simplifies that and also gives a venue for people that aren't really attached to hot yoga.
Hey, I will confess that when before I went to a yoga class, I did practice yoga at home first to make sure that I thought I was good enough to do it in public. But yeah, how did you get into yoga?
It's an interesting story. A friend of mine, Sandy, had invited me to go to hot yoga for probably 2 years. And I kept saying, it was just a 90-minute class. That's all there was at the time. I don't have 90 minutes. I have an hour, but I don't have 90 minutes. And finally, one day, I really just was struggling with life. And I'm like, something has to change. I'll go to this class with her. And it was just miraculous how changed I felt after one class. And so I went every day. Yeah.
And then, so for people who aren't in the know, what's the difference between normal yoga and hot yoga?
So normal yoga is an unheated environment. All yoga is yoga, but hot yoga simulates the conditions of India, 105 degrees, 40-50% humidity. I will say that, as the humidity levels drop because it's very dry in New Mexico, we'll raise the temperature up a little bit. But yeah, and it's heats the muscles, so it makes injuries much less likely. And the hot yoga also will sweat the toxins out of your body. So not everybody should drink the night before. But if you do drink the night before doing hot yoga, the next day you'll really suffer during class. But when you're done, you'll feel so much better, right? Because you've just sweated all those toxins that you put into your body out. And it could be more than just drinking. But, we put toxins in our body from breathing and from eating in all different ways. So it eliminates a lot of toxins. It makes you more flexible. And it'll burn off a lot of calories as well. I've had men that sweat a lot, weigh themselves before class and then after, and they lost 5 pounds in water weight. So, yeah, it's an amazing workout. It's wonderful in the wintertime. When it's so cold outside, it kind of balances the cold with the hot. And it's a little bit of work in the summertime with the hot and the hot, but it's hot anyway. Might as well go do yoga.
So how did you decide to jump into your own business from going to yoga every day to starting your own business? I feel like it's a pretty big jump.
It is a big jump, and it's an even bigger jump when you hear the story behind that. I am a 23-year business owner from December of 1999 until July of 2008. I owned a bar, a little neighborhood bar called Penn Station. It was at Pennsylvania and Manal. It was a neighborhood bar. It opened at 7 a.m. and people weren't healthy, right? You know, they had problems and they drank their problems away. And I really just like people. I'm not the kind of person that wants to sit at a desk all day. I like to meet people. I like to be around people. And I was just done like adding to the unhealthy lifestyle. And so I decided to sell my bar. And I did pretty well in the sale. At the time, I was doing hot yoga every single day, and it was a long drive to the studio that I was going to. I had a very limited amount of time to get there because I was not allowed to drop my son at school until 20 till 9, and this place locked their doors at 9, and it was the other side of town. There was only 2 hot yoga studios, and I just suddenly felt really strongly that we needed one like it where it is, Paseo and Jefferson, right? We needed one on this side of town. And I know business, and it was going to be a way easier business to run than a bar. And so I decided to open a yoga studio.
Nice. And so I've been to Blissful Hot Yoga before, and I would definitely agree with you. Like, sweating it out feels in the moment like so much work, but then afterwards, it's definitely like the most relaxed my muscles have ever been. And I noticed that when you go on the website, there's like a list of teachers you can choose from. Like, tell me about like how that works.
So yeah, we have a lot of teachers. It's 3 studios, a lot of teachers. We only talked about one expansion. The 3rd studio opened January 11th of this year. I liked the number 111. And that's at San Mateo and Lomas. And so a big portion of our teachers work a full-time job, and they come in and they teach 1 or 2 classes. So I have over 40 teachers between the 3 studios, and probably less than 10 are trying to make their living teaching hot yoga, and everybody else has a full-time job somewhere. We have doctors, nurses, we have all physical therapists, we have all kinds of walks of life coming in, marketing people, and they teach, you know, a couple classes at night or on the weekend. And they fill in when we need it. And then we have the core teachers that have been teaching, probably a lot of them for a really long time, teaching a lot of yoga. So it's a very diverse group of people. We've had high school seniors teaching for us all the way up to, I think I might be the oldest. No, I have one teacher that's older than me. So from 18 to 70 years old, approximately, teaching all different styles of yoga. It's not just hot yoga, it's vinyasa, it's hot Pilates, it's hot yoga sculpt, yin yoga, which is only 85 degrees, and it's not really a workout, it's more of a work-in. Yeah, and so all different styles, 3 studios, 1 membership. If you join for a month at 1 studio, you can go to all 3.
Oh. And so you said, like, you still teach. What do you teach?
I teach yin yoga and a class called yin yang. So it starts out really slow, stretching, 3-minute holds, and then about halfway, 30 minutes through the class, we'll start to move. And as the class goes, the heat builds, the humidity builds, and then we'll do kind of a level 1 vinyasa style flow for the second half of the class. And I'll have built up to the 105 degrees. So I teach that, and I teach hot yoga as well.
Nice. So if you're like a total beginner, where would you like suggest someone start?
So that's what I like about our studio. It's really for any body, and really any age. When I get somebody, 65, 70, I'll suggest they start in yin if they've never really stretched, because yin yoga is really accessible to everybody. You get on the floor. We give you pillows called bolsters and blocks and all kinds of sometimes blankets, all kinds of things to get you to settle into a pose, and then you hold it for 3 minutes. So there's very few transitions. The next step up I would call warm and gentle, which can be some floor and some standing, but super simple. And that's about 95 degrees. And so you don't have to like fight the heat your first time while you're learning how to stretch, or start at home before you go in, right? You can just kind of go in there. And then hot yoga is the next level up. Vinyasa is the highest level of at our studio, where it's a flow, and it's a pretty fast-moving flow. And then we have the hot yoga sculpt and the Pilates.
Got you. So a thing that I would say, like, I've kind of struggled with is I never know, like, when do I transition from, like, a beginner to more intermediate stuff? Like, how do you think, like, you know as a person, like, when you're ready to try something more intense?
Well, people fear vinyasa, right? And I would say don't. Like, there's people that only have in their time schedule 6 a.m. in the morning, and that's straight across the board vinyasa, right? So they come in and they just do their best. So vinyasa is every teacher is different. Like, so some of them will move a little more slowly and methodically, but we basically move from pose to pose. Vinyasa is usually from breath to breath, but it's a flow rather than a static class. And then we offer some level 2, 3 poses. So currently, I have some joint issues, and I can't really do level 2, 3 poses, but I still go take vinyasa, and I'll do all the level 1 poses, and I'll take a break when I need to, and I'll just do my best. And so a lot of people, that's their schedule. They start out in vinyasa. They never start in warm and gentle or yin. They just jump right into it, and they do really good, and they build, and eventually they're doing those harder poses. So, yeah. And it's kind of a myth that people are afraid that when they go in, people are going to be looking at them. It's a very personal practice, and people are just in that heat, trying to get through the class themselves, and they're really not looking at other people's practice. They might sometimes look at the teacher, but they're really focused on themselves. So, that insecurity about, oh, no, everybody's going to look at me is really just a myth. People aren't like, oh, look at that person. They don't know what they're doing. That doesn't really happen ever. But we do have black light classes for those people with body insecurities. At night, they're called luminous classes, where the lights are low and black lights are on. And if you don't want people to be able to see you, just wear dark colors and you won't glow.
I was going to be like, so is there like an option? You've already answered this, for people who are like a little bit more body insecure. So my partner has been like, I want to try yoga. And so we've been doing it at home, and like they're pretty good at it now. And I've been trying to convince them to go to a studio, and they're so embarrassed.
Right.
So I'm definitely going to pitch these like dark classes to them. Like, no one will even know you're there.
Yeah.
But kind of talking about like community, what do you like? How do you like foster community? How do you make sure it's a positive community?
So we do at least a yearly celebration, which we have one coming up October 5th, where everybody's invited. I give them swag bags, and we last couple of years we've catered it. We used to like all the teachers would potluck it, and the Pilates teacher will stay after class, and they'll all sit around and hang out, and a lot of people will go out after. And then we also have Bliss in the City that fosters community, because you can go to one of those classes, like the Explorer class, after class, they'll all go to Sawmill, and so there's different ways of building community. So many people have just been going so long. It's just a little family. The teachers all have people that follow them that, they're not just our students, they're our family and our friends. We've been building this community for 15 years. The newest studio has a lot of the Paseo people going to it, but it's a sweet little studio. And so we're building a whole new community over there. And and it's got a little room with very few windows, so that's a really nice studio to start black light classes, like at 5:30 in the evening. A lot of the teachers will turn the lights down, and you can almost get away with it all day long. So it's a pretty cool little space.
To backtrack a little bit, you had mentioned that you like owned a bar in New Mexico. Like, are you from New Mexico? Like, you know.
Yeah, I moved here in 1973 from Westchester, New York.
Okay.
I left a couple times. I always swore I wouldn't live in New Mexico after moving here from New York. It wasn't a great start, let's put it that way. I was in Los Lunas, and they didn't love people from a wealthier town in New York, let's put it that way. But my mother was here. I came back the second time. I left for college, and then I came back, and then I left and went to L.A., and I finally decided I was going to leave L.A. So much traffic and pollution and high prices, right? And I ended up back here because my mother needed somebody close. And then when she passed, it was just 2 months later that I opened Blissful Spirit. So
oh, wow.
I'm here to stay. Yeah.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I feel like a lot of people, like in my experience anyways, come to New Mexico and are like, I'm not feeling it, and then like leave, and then eventually end up being like, actually, it's all right.
Yeah.
But I think like you have to have that time in the city, you know, like if you don't know what the rest of the world is like it's hard to have perspective.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. The years in LA were really good for me. This is a good city, you know. It doesn't get the big concerts and all the things to do, but you know, the state is just gorgeous, and there's so many beautiful places to see and to, you know, hot springs and all kinds of wonderful things that comes with New Mexico. It really is a beautiful state.
And I mean, you're a part of the things to do now.
Right. I am a destination for sure.
So what has been through your journey, like your favorite part of yoga? Like what has it given like you personally?
Well, yoga can be many things, but for me, I came out of addiction. Mm-hmm. You know, I had kind of left functioning addiction behind when I left the bar behind, but I'd left it behind a couple years before I got rid of the bar. And, you know, I quit for my children, but I always kind of thought, well, when they're grown, I'll go back. You know, that's kind of how your mindset is. Like, I don't love myself enough to quit, but I love my children enough to quit. But yoga just kind of ironed down that, you know, I'm enough. I don't need to cover up the feelings, the vibes, all of the trauma that generally causes addiction issues, like, you know, not wanting to be fully in the present moment and in reality. But also, you know, bars are just a place where it's full of people that with all kinds of addiction. Alcoholics were everywhere. I mean, these guys were awake at 7 a.m., starting their day drinking. So it's really great for people trying to move away from any kind of addiction, food addiction, alcohol, drugs, anxiety. But it's also a great place to build physicality, you know, to use your body to find presence by being in your body instead of trying to escape the moment, and to just be present. So I built up so much strength, but I also built up mental strength that I was good enough to let go of the things that didn't serve me anymore, and just to let the trauma melt out of me in yoga classes and leave it on the mat and spray my mat off and leave that trauma behind and let it go, because we carry so much trauma in our bodies. And so yoga is just such a beautiful release of trauma.
Yeah, I'm definitely a person who gets like very easily stressed out and like overwhelmed. And I noticed when I went to hot yoga that like, I wasn't clenching my jaw. Like truly, I do think there's like a relaxation that happens that lets you like, because I agree, you're usually like incredibly focused on what you're doing.
Right.
That lets you kind of like be more present and therefore like really like move through stuff. But I've seen people like cry in yoga classes.
Right.
Like clearly it can be an incredibly like emotional experience.
Right. We carry a lot of trauma, and like yin yoga is all about getting into your fascia, and trauma is held in like the hip joints and deep in the fascia, and yin yoga opens up fascia. And so, I mean, I cried and I battled and I was angry and I was frustrated, and I had all the feelings that we just hold inside of us come out like on the mat. But then I was able to process some things that I pushed down and didn't even remember, like came out in this yoga class, things I was covering up so well I'd forgotten about. And then I was able to, like, after class, process them, think about them, remember them, and then let them go, finally, after decades.
Fair. Yeah, I think that's something like people don't think of when they think of yoga. I think a lot of people think of yoga as just being like an exercise, like going to the gym. And like for a large part of the community, it seems like it's a lot more.
Definitely. I mean, we've had so many people's lives change. It really does change lives. The process of allowing yourself to let go of whatever your baggage is while you're sweating it out, or if you're in yin yoga, just learning how to be still. Is just a really beautiful release of whatever it is that doesn't serve you anymore. And there's so much in today's world. There's just, we're just so busy that we don't take time for ourselves. And it is an hour, or if you take 75 minutes, that is time for you and just for you. Put your phone down, leave it outside the room, let go of everything, and just take care of you.
Yeah. If there was like one thing you would really want to like people who listen to this podcast to take home, what would it be?
That you're not stuck. Like, we sometimes feel stuck in our life. And I was there when I began my yoga practice. I was stuck in chronic pain. I was stuck with all kinds of feelings of not being good enough, right? Mm-hmm. And just all kinds of huge stress levels as well. And I started this little studio that doubled in size in a year, and then a year later we opened a second studio, and now we have 3 studios. And my life is vastly different than the bar owner that hated her job, and hated what she was doing because I wasn't taking care of people. And so I feel like I'm taking care of people with Blissful Spirits and Bliss in the City. And our teachers take care of people, but our people take care of us as well. We learn from our students. So just my message is you're not stuck. Do something different. If you've never tried the experience, people aren't looking at you. Maybe start in our black light class, start in our yin class, which is dark as well, and just come on in and change your life. Today is the day.
Yeah. And then like, where can people find you if they want to like get in contact with you or?
Yeah, blissfulspirits.com is our website. I am Melanie at blissfulspirits.com. Our locations are San Mateo and Lomas, Paseo, and basically Jefferson. It's really El Pueblo and Jefferson. And in Rio Rancho, Jackie Road, right at the corner, right behind 528 and Southern. So pretty big cross street right there. 3 beautiful studios for, in 3 vastly different parts of the city of Albuquerque. So come on in and see us.
Thank you so much for taking time for us. I really appreciate it.
You, Allison,
it's been really nice talking.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. You can find this episode and all our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. If you enjoy our podcasts, please like and subscribe, and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us continue to bring you more content like this. See the show notes for a discount on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading local news source.